You're watching News at Prime. It is a race against time for Spaza shop owners to register their businesses in order to beat today's deadline. The Gauteng Finance and Economic Development MEC, Lebogang Maile, says over 13,000 applications have so far been received. Most of those who died in the province were children, and you'll recall that that particular element was more pronounced in the Gauteng province. Maile is my guest this evening, and he talks to us in his capacity as Acting Premier. Acting Premier, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. Let me start the conversation with this particular question. If the Western Cape government is able to extend the deadline for Spaza shop owners to register their businesses, is Gauteng able to do the same for its residents?
Good evening to you and the viewers at home, and thanks for having us. And let me say Merry Christmas to you and the viewers at home in advance.
Thank you.
Firstly, remember the 21 days deadline was announced by the president, not by us. So I think it's just mischievous for someone to announce an extension on a deadline that was not put by you. That's the first thing. But the second thing is that there has to be a reason for an extension. So what we are doing now is to assess and analyze the trends, look at the data, look at the challenges. And once we've got a consolidated report, we will be able to express a view to national government. So if we were to adopt a view that says there must be extension, we will firstly express that view to national government and make that suggestion, because I think it's the good thing to do, so that we don't become populist about it.
Yeah.
But it would have after making an assessment, because if you say to me, we must extend, what is the reason, on what basis, what are the numbers, why did people were supposed to apply didn't apply, was there any impediment on the part of the laws, on the part of government? So we have to think through these things so that we don't just do things because we want to make headlines.
All right.
I don't think we should go like that.
Acting Premier, you use the word populist, and I don't mean to get into the political space here, but I am cognizant of the fact that I'm talking to a premier, an acting premier of Gauteng, who's also an ANC leader. Are you saying that the Western Cape government is trying to define itself outside of the national government prescript?
It's clear. I mean, there's a national prescript. We are all busy with registration, and they just make a pronouncement. On what basis? Perhaps they've got reasons, yes, but I think they should have just... I mean, tonight there's a meeting of all provinces with the Minister of Culture, and I think they could express their views there. Everybody else will express their views. And if there was to be any extension, which anyway we are not opposed to as a province. We're not opposed to, because the intention is to get as many people, if not everyone, to register in this process. So, there has to be reasons, and we must look at the facts and not just make a pronouncement without any facts before us.
All right. Let's then get to grips with the business of the day, and that is today is the deadline for Spaza shop owners to register. Quickly, let's clear this. Is there a difference between a trade license and a trade permit?
One of the issues that we will be clarifying a day after tomorrow, when we update the media and the nation, there are different licenses, permits, and certificates that are issued by municipalities and some of the provincial government departments. So we will clarify that because I don't want to venture into trade permit, trade whatever, but all of them, it's compliance.
Yeah.
You must comply to certain laws and bylaws. So there are different types of permits, licenses, and certificates which are required, and their processes are also different. There are different processes to follow, and they also vary from one municipality to the next, and they are not standard because depending on which municipality you are at, certain documentation is required or issued. In other municipalities, they might not. But it also it's also based on the size of the municipality, the type of businesses. So the license regime is broad.
Okay.
It varies from one municipality to the next.
You see, what you have just explained, Acting Premier, is exactly perhaps what has gotten a lot of people frustrated, because there are certain documentation that they may not have been aware of that is required. They go to the office, they're told you're missing this or you need to amend that. It's been a frustrating process, and I think the people that have really expressed their views as loud and as clear, it is indeed South Africans themselves. Do you think that this process was well communicated within this 21-day period?
I think we could have done better. We have tried our level best. You will know that we were the first province. In fact, the president announced on Friday, and I think by Tuesday we were already outlining the process. We even published the requirements that are needed. We published the 85 centers that were established in the different municipalities. We had an outreach program which reached out to 15,000 Spaza shops. But I don't want to say we have done enough. There's always room for improvement. And I don't think government must close its ears when people are speaking and they are not happy with certain things. We should always open our ears. We should always be ready to extend our hand and reach out to those who feel left out. 85 registration centers in a compact province like Gauteng, I'm sure you'll agree. It's a good number because we are not as vast as other provinces. But as you know, there are many other challenges, and some people might not have been able to reach out to those, and then they might not have received information. And those are the things that we will have to consider if we make a determination of whether we are extending or not.
I quickly want to get this question out of the way before we wrap. The final word, MEC, and I keep using these two titles interchangeably.
Yes.
The final word on foreigners who want to run Spaza shops in South Africa. What is the Gauteng government position?
I think you know the immigration law, what it says, and we have dealt with this issue of foreigners who wants to do business and what are the requirements and the department. And I don't want to restate that, but I would like us to be firm and be honest at some point and say, can't this be preserved only for South Africans? So that's not. So can this area and maybe other areas be preserved purely for South Africans? I don't think it will be an unfair ask. Other countries are doing it, and I think that's what we should do going forward. So we have to be clearer and firm We all know what the law says, but we have to be clearer and firm and say what are the specific sectors that we would want to see being preserved for South Africans only.
Okay.
And the Spaza shops is one of those.
I noticed today with quite curiosity the meeting between yourself and I think it was representatives of retailer Pick n Pay. It's to do with the township economy. What was that about in brief?
Well, these are small companies which had an agreement with Pick n Pay a few years back to convert their shops into mini markets branded Pick n Pay. But unfortunately, the terms were not favorable for them. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work. Most of them lost money because they had to borrow money from big institutions like the banks, Nedbank, SIFA, is now called SIFDA, NEF. And because the business did not succeed, they are in debt as we speak. So what we are doing, we are working with them to try and help them to get out of the debt, to also revive their businesses. Mm-hmm. And most of them are still running without Pick n Pay, but they're facing hard times because they've lost a lot of money. They were not able to stock their businesses the way they're supposed to be. So it's hand to mouth. So we want to solidify these businesses and use it as a base to ensure that they are able to build strong, sustainable businesses, and we can have more, which can even supply Spaza shops and all that. So on the township economy, we are. This is our biggest project, and we are firm, we are focused, and we are going to put lots and lots of resources. And we will explain next year some of the big things that we'll be doing for township economy, because we want to make it work. We want to turn it around, and we think it's an opportunity to bring more and more people into the economy and create jobs.
All right, very quickly. And the all-encompassing report, therefore, around Spaza shop ownership, the registration process. Earlier, we'd already mentioned 13,000 applications that had been received thus far. I think you made mention of that last weekend. Where are we now in terms of the registration numbers you've received, and when will we see that all-encompassing report?
The 13,000 is the number of application forms that have been distributed, not necessarily applications. Okay. And I must indicate that the number has increased. We are busy consolidating. In fact, just now at 5, we met with all municipalities to consolidate. So we do have a preliminary figure which is being audited. So I don't want to talk about the figure that's not yet verified and audited. And that's why we said on Thursday, we would like to brief you in detail about all those issues that have emerged and give you our closeout report. And we would have submitted that report to the COCTA MINMEC today. So we'll not just be talking to the public before engaging internally. And hopefully by tonight or tomorrow, national government will have a stance on what its state, what action they're going to take in this regard.
Finally, as I let you go, it's been a torturous 5 days for Gauteng residents, particularly in areas that have been starved of water. What is your message to residents about this situation in your capacity as acting premier? Well,
I did say the day before yesterday that despite the fact that it might not be the competence of the province, but we would like to apologize unreservedly and profusely to the citizens of our province, especially those that were affected. Though we understand the importance of maintaining and upgrading, because it will help us in future. But at no point should the citizens be affected and be inconvenienced. It's unfortunate that there are citizens who are inconvenienced, who were affected. And I think we just need to plan better in future whenever we do the maintenance and the upgrade to ensure that there is no inconvenience on the part of the citizens. And once again, we apologize profusely as the Gauteng provincial government on behalf of everyone that is involved.
Lebogang Maile, thank you very much for your time. The Gauteng Finance and Economic Development MEC doubling up as the acting premier. And there you have that apology